The Cosmic Briefing, hosted by award-winning author Dr. Allison Brown, opens the door to disclosure, consciousness, galactic history, and humanity's awakening.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Cosmic Briefing. I'm glad you're here. I want to talk today about free will. You know, there's an age-old discussion or argument, I guess, or debate about free will versus destiny. We're not going to go quite that deep today, but I want to give you a metaphor that really hit home for me in terms of what it means to allow for the destiny of your contract, the destiny of your incarnational contract, because essentially that's what it's about. We can say, you know, humans have free will. I can make whatever decision I want. I can believe or not. I can take a left or a right. But the bottom line is, although, yes, you can make whatever decision that you want to, and it feels empowering to do so, excuse me, you have a contract that keeps you kind of within a lane. And you can, and that's kind of interesting given the metaphor I'm about to share with you, but you kind of stay within a wide lane. And you can, you know, take detours and come back. But essentially, your divine, the divine within, that consciousness within, your higher self, is going to keep you within the lanes so that you can fulfill the contract or the experiences that you wanted to have, the intersections that you wanted to have, the learning that you wanted to have, right? So my daughter has moved back home for a bit, and she has a Tesla. And so it's been really interesting because she also has the self-driving feature on this particular Tesla. So we let her drive, not to mention because the gas prices are kind of high right now. And what I've realized is when you can relinquish control and allow it to, because I know a lot of people have talked about this idea that, oh my gosh, I can't let the Tesla drive. I need to be in control and I'm afraid it's going to wreck. But if you relinquish control and you just turn on the autopilot feature, it's phenomenal. I've fallen in love with it. And the reason is because, you know, you really don't realize how, I won't say stressful, but how alert and on you are all the time. There's a certain level of sort of driving stress that occurs at all times when you're in a vehicle because, you know, you're constantly thinking. Yeah, we put it on autopilot in our minds sometimes, but you're constantly thinking, you know, taking a left turn or a right turn, or how fast am I going, or, you know, whether to put it on cruise control and your directions and all of that sort of, you're constant. And plus you're on defense a lot, looking at other crazy drivers out there, making sure they're not, you know, coming into your lane or what have you. So I was sitting in her passenger's seat. One day we were going out for errands and she was in the driver's seat, and you still have to pay attention because the car is not perfect. And sometimes you take it off of auto drive to correct or to do something. I don't know all of the ins and outs. I'm not a Tesla owner. You guys can share in the comments anything about the Tesla that you want to. And this isn't the point of it, or no matter how you feel about Elon Musk or Tesla, that's not the point. So we're driving down the road and it is in self-driving mode. And we pull up to this major intersection and there are two lanes that turn left. And it's sitting in the right-hand lane of those two lanes. We're at the stoplight. Now, it pulled into that lane behind, I think, 3 or 4 cars, whereas the left lane that is also turning left only had 1 car up there. And I was thinking to myself as I'm sitting in the passenger seat, why did it pick this lane? It should have picked the other lane because there's only 1 car there. And we're behind 3 or 4 cars now. You know, we could have gotten there a second quicker. This is where my mind goes because that's how I think about driving. When I'm driving, I'm always analyzing which lane is better. Should I change lanes? You know, should I speed up? What's behind me? What's in front of me? All of that. I'm making all of these conscious decisions. And the minute that I thought, you know, this car should have picked the other lane, I stopped and I said, oh my gosh, what a perfect metaphor about control, free will, surrendering, trusting. And I thought to myself, what difference does it make? I don't have to think about it. I don't have to make that decision. I can let the car make those decisions. We're going to get there when we get there. I probably wouldn't have gotten there substantially quicker had I been driving myself. So it really is negligible in terms of how long the trip's going to take. But it's very profound in terms of how comfortable, how relaxing, how stress-free the trip is. I can focus on talking to my daughter and just sitting and enjoying the ride and looking around at the view that I sometimes can't see because I'm focused on the road and not getting into an accident, right? So I thought this was just such a perfect metaphor that I wanted to share it because it is really difficult for some humans more than others to give up control, to surrender, to trust the grand plan. You know, we had a client session not too long ago, and it was interesting because one of the things that the higher self said was that, you know, when you don't trust and you get impatient and you're waiting for something to manifest for yourself or to happen, or you're waiting for the next thing, and you decide, I don't want to wait any longer, I'm impatient, I can do it better, I want to take control, I don't trust the outcome, and you insert yourself and you make a decision instead of waiting, the guides said, then we're up here scrambling because you can't see that all of these beings are working on your behalf. They always are. They're working on your behalf. And so when you do that, the higher self said, then we're scrambling like, oh my gosh, we still have to get this human to this outcome. How can we do that now since she turned this way when we wanted her to turn this way a little further ahead? How can we orchestrate things now? And they said, and of course, they're energetic beings, but this is an illustration of what happens when we make our own decisions out of fear or out of control or out of impatience or anything like that. They're up there going, oh my gosh, we really need Allison to get here. How can we do that now that she made decision X, Y, Z? And so it's really funny to hear them say it in that way. And it put it back in perspective for me in terms of trusting the knowing that they, your higher self, your guides, they're working on your behalf always. And so it isn't about giving up free will. It's about sort of relinquishing your human will, because your human will is decided upon by the circumstances of your physicality, your physical environment. They can see the bigger picture. Your higher self has a greater perspective, a greater awareness, more information. They can see what's coming up down the road. And so they know how to steer you around obstacles that you can't even see, that you don't even know exist yet. And so when you make these decisions and you put yourself right in the path of the obstacle because you couldn't see it coming, but they did, what's the point of free will in that case, right? So it's always about surrendering to the knowledge that you're being guided and protected always. It's about trusting the big plan. It's about trusting your contract, because really you and your higher self is the energetic of you. You're the one that put this contract in place. So you know what's coming and you know that you've prepared yourself for it. And so it's about trusting yourself, really, trusting the plan, trusting your contract, trusting in the unseen, knowing and surrendering. And, you know, trust and surrender are two of the other things that we get harped on session after session after session, is about trusting and surrendering, particularly when it comes to our gifts and our abilities and the things that we think aren't happening fast enough. Trust and know that they are. Open yourself up to the awareness that they are happening. And when you acknowledge the tiny breadcrumbs, then you'll get bigger hints, bigger experiences, bigger aha moments. So I hope this sort of hits you the way that it hit me in terms of this idea of relaxing into trust. Relaxing, living a stress-free existence because you know they have your back, right? They always have your back. Let me know if that's worked out for you. share in the comments if you've had experiences where you didn't trust and how it worked out versus experiences when you do trust. The other thing I want to leave you with, excuse me, is that if you already know and you can already see kind of the clues and the answers, then it isn't trust, right? There's no need to trust if you already have the answer. And so trust is about moving forward even when you can't see, even when it's uncertain, even when you're unsure. That's really what trust is. And I will leave you with that, and I will see you all next time.